this week we're focused on the letter N. Hey, and welcome to Yodi's Table. Thank you for joining me on this week's A to Z Cooking with Me series, where this week we're focused on the letter N. And I've decided to make these fire-ass nachos. So of course, if you want to learn how to make this, please stay tuned. Catch you in a jiffy.
That's good.
I told you they're fire. Alrighty, in order to get started, here are all of our ingredients. Here I have 1 cup of dried beans. I did soak them overnight so that way it cuts down the cook time. I had red beans in my pantry, so that's what I'll be using. Here I have 1 cup of milk, 1/2 cup of sharp cheddar, 4 ounces of velveta, 1 avocado that's been mashed. You can either use a fork to mash, which is how I did it, or you can use a potato masher, whichever you desire. Here I have 1 Roma tomato chopped. Here I have 1/2 an onion chopped. Here I have a cup of sour cream. Here I have 1/2 a jalapeño chopped. Here I just have a small bunch of cilantro that I roughly chopped. Here I have 1 can of small jalapeños that have been pickled. Here I have 3 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, and we'll be using 1/2 of lemon, and we'll just use of a lime, and we'll be just using the juice out of this. So in order to get started, I'm just gonna make a quick guacamole. So we're gonna go ahead and just move this out of our way. And of course, in order to prepare your nachos, this is what I'll be using as my tortilla chips. So we're gonna move this out of our way, and we'll start with the guacamole. So I'm gonna take my mashed avocado. I'll be tossing in just a little bit of tomatoes, a little bit of onions. I'll be using a little bit of jalapeno, just a pinch of cilantro, and we're gonna go ahead and squeeze. Let me go ahead and move this so you can see it. And we're gonna just squeeze our lime juice right in there. And we're gonna use the garlic salt. And just a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. I'm gonna use about 1/4 teaspoon to start of salt, and about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So we'll go ahead and give this a good mix. And you definitely want to give this a taste to make sure it has enough salt and enough lime juice. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a taste. And that's perfect. So we'll go ahead and set this aside. And now we'll get started on our Pico de Gallo. So same kind of thing. We'll start off with our tomatoes, add all of our onions, add the remainder of the jalapeno and the remainder of the cilantro, and give this a good mix. And to this, we'll just add, same thing, 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And we'll also set this aside. Now we're gonna go ahead and get started on our nacho cheese sauce. So we'll go ahead and move over. Alrighty, so in order to get started with the remainder of our ingredients, what I have here is 4 cups of water that I have heavily salted, and we're just gonna pop our beans in there. So we want that to come to a high boil, and I'm gonna set my burner on high, so about a 6, and we'll just pop the beans right in. And this will probably take approximately 15 to 20 minutes to cook. You'll know it's cooked once the beans have softened. And meanwhile, we'll go ahead and get it started on our nacho cheese sauce. So I have my burner set to about a 4, and we'll go ahead and toss our butter in. And we want this to melt all the way. Now that our butter is fully melted, we'll go ahead and pop our flour in. And again, this is called a roux, and it serves as a thickening agent for our cheese sauce. So right now what we're looking for is for the butter to kind of turn brown, and in addition to that, the flour tastes to cook out. So we'll stir this for about a minute. You'll know that this is ready once it has a little bit of a golden color and you stop smelling flour in its raw state. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat down a little bit to about a 2.5, so that way this doesn't burn. If it does burn, then you'll have to start over. We definitely don't wanna do that. Now that our roux has a little bit of color on it, what we're gonna go ahead and do is just add in our milk. And we want to add this a little bit at a time and stir continuously so that it has no clumps. I've turned down my heat a little bit more, so now I'm on a low, and we're gonna go ahead and just add our cheeses relatively slowly and mix them in. So here I have my sharp cheddar, and I'll add this a little bit at a time and give that a good mix. Go ahead and add the remainder and give this a good mix. Next, we're gonna add the velveta, just a little bit at a time, and give it a good mix. And to this, I'm actually gonna go ahead and add a little bit more milk. Of course, with nacho cheese, it's not nearly this thick, and we want it to be a little looser in texture. So I'm probably gonna add another 1/2 cup of milk to start, and we'll go ahead and add more if need be. Give it a good mix. And then we'll go ahead and add the remainder of our velveta and kind of let that melt in and simultaneously mix it. This is the texture that we're looking for with this cheese sauce. You can tell that it is runny, and of course there's some velveta in here that's still melting, but once that melts off, we'll get the desired texture. Now that everything is melted, we're gonna go ahead and add our chili powder and give this a good mix. And we'll also add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Again, cheese is pretty salty, so you don't want to overload, so 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and give this a good mix. At this point, you do want to taste it, make sure there's enough cheese to your liking and enough salt and pepper to your liking, and adjust accordingly. I personally would like a little bit more cheese, so I'm going to toss some of this sharp cheddar, and I'm also going to add another 1/2 teaspoon of salt as well. I added about 1/4 cup of sharp cheddar cheese. I'm going to give this another taste. And that's perfect. So all we're waiting for now is for our beans to cook, And as soon as that's done, we'll go ahead and assemble our nachos. Alrighty, so now we're gonna go ahead and assemble our nachos. So you can see that our beans have cooked. What we're looking for is for it to smash just like that, and we know that it's cooked. So what we're gonna start off with is our nacho cheese sauce. Of course, this will be to your liking. So if you want more cheese sauce, put more. If not, then leave it at a minimum. So I'm gonna just scoop this up. And plop it right on. And then we'll go ahead and just sprinkle our beans on. And then we'll add our Pico de Gallo. And go ahead and sprinkle that on as well. Then we'll go ahead and add our jalapeños. And then we'll actually go ahead and add our sour cream. And last but not least, we'll add our guacamole. We'll plop that right on. And there we have it, our nachos. Gonna fuck this up. And this is our finished product, our nachos. Of course, if you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace. Until next time. It's my fire-ass nachos. Some fire-ass guacamole.
Okay, period.
And some fire-ass nacho sauce.
What else?
Some fire-ass jalapeños.
Spicy.
Fire-ass pico de gallo.
Tasty.